She was just a quiet waitress until the bikers picked the wrong target. When one grabbed her, expecting submission, she broke free with military precision. As her shirt tore open, her secret was revealed. She was a U.S. Marine veteran. The whole bar went silent as the bully realized he'd picked on a real warrior. Sometimes the quietest people carry the biggest strength. The bar was loud that night, the kind of place where cigarette smoke curled against dim lights, laughter mixed with curses, and the clink of glass drowned out softer voices. It was a place of shadows and noise, where tough men wore leather and tattoos like armor, and where the world seemed to forget about the fragile souls who worked behind the counter. Among them was Emily, a quiet waitress who carried herself with humility and a grace that no one seemed to notice. She wasn't the type to draw attention, dressed simply in jeans and a white button shirt, her hair tied back, her steps quick and efficient. Yet, beneath her calm face and tired smile, there was a storm she carried in silence, one she had never spoken of, one that few could ever imagine. Emily had joined the Marines at 19, not for glory or patriotism, but as an escape route from an abusive childhood where her basement bedroom had become her prison. The military had given her purpose, discipline, and the skills to defend herself when necessary. After 3 tours overseas and 2 Purple Hearts, she returned home to find that civilian life brought new battles, including the invisible wounds of PTSD that haunted her sleep and made social interactions difficult. Working as a waitress was supposed to be temporary, a way to transition back to normal life. But months had turned into years, and she remained invisible to most customers who saw only a quiet, unassuming woman serving drinks. Her apartment was sparse but clean, decorated with minimal furniture and hidden military photos tucked away in drawers. Every morning began with meditation exercises learned during her service, a routine that helped ground her in the present. The nightmares still came frequently, filled with images from combat zones and the faces of fallen comrades. During slow shifts at the bar, Emily often found herself mentally reviewing tactical situations or muscle memory exercises that kept her alert and prepared. She had developed a network of veteran support groups, though she rarely attended due to anxiety about crowded spaces and social interaction. The local VA hospital had prescribed medication for her PTSD, which she took inconsistently, preferring to manage symptoms naturally when possible. Her relationship with her family was strained. They had never understood her decision to enlist, seeing it as abandoning them rather than seeking freedom. She sent money home monthly to help with household expenses, maintaining connection while protecting her own independence. That night, when a group of bikers rolled into the bar, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. They laughed too loud, shoved too hard, and demanded attention like predators circling weaker prey. Emily tried to avoid their eyes, keeping to her work, but her military training made her hyper-aware of their aggressive body language and increasing interest in her. She noticed details others missed: the way they positioned themselves to block exits, their patterns of intimidation, and the gradual escalation of their demands. The bar owner, Jake, had hired her specifically because she was reliable and unobtrusive, never causing drama or drawing attention to problems. Other staff members had quit due to harassment from various customers, but Emily had endured, partly due to financial necessity and partly due to her ability to de-escalate situations. She had learned to read people quickly, identifying potential threats and avoiding confrontations whenever possible. The regular customers included several other veterans who recognized her military bearing, though none had ever approached her about shared experiences. Some were older men who had served in Vietnam or Korea, their own service histories creating an unspoken bond of mutual respect. Others were civilians who appreciated her professional service and quiet demeanor. The bar served as a crossroads for different parts of the community, bringing together people from various backgrounds and circumstances. Emily observed their interactions, learning about local politics, economic struggles, and personal dramas without participating directly. She had become an expert at reading body language and predicting behavior, skills that had saved her life in combat and continued to serve her in civilian life. Her military training had taught her to stay calm under pressure, assess threats objectively, and respond appropriately to different levels of danger. The psychological aspects of her service had been as challenging as the physical demands, requiring her to process traumatic events while maintaining operational readiness. She had witnessed the best and worst of human nature during her deployments, experiences that had shaped her worldview and personal values. Returning home had been more difficult than basic training, as she struggled to relate to people who had never faced life-threatening situations. Civilian life felt surreal at times, filled with trivial concerns that seemed meaningless compared to the life and death decisions she had made overseas. The transition had been complicated by physical injuries sustained during her service, including a shoulder injury that occasionally caused pain and limited mobility. She had learned to compensate for these limitations while maintaining her independence and self-reliance. Her medical discharge had been both a relief and a source of identity crisis, as she struggled to define herself outside of her military role. The bar provided stability and routine, essential elements for someone managing PTSD symptoms and adjusting to civilian life. However, the environment also presented challenges, as alcohol consumption by customers sometimes triggered her own anxiety responses. She had developed coping strategies for dealing with loud noises, sudden movements, and unexpected situations that might startle others. Her colleagues respected her professionalism, though they remained unaware of her military background and the skills that made her so effective at handling difficult customers. She had never felt comfortable sharing her experiences, fearing judgment or unwanted attention from people who couldn't understand her perspective. The isolation she felt was both chosen and imposed, as she struggled to connect with civilians who lived such different lives. That night, when the bikers arrived, Emily immediately assessed the situation using her military training. Their leader, Cole, had a history of troublemaking and had been banned from several establishments in the area. His reputation preceded him, though he had managed to get readmitted to this bar through connections with management. The group had grown larger recently, attracting members who enjoyed the culture of intimidation and dominance. Emily had observed similar groups during her service, recognizing the dynamics of alpha leadership and follower mentality. She had learned to identify the moment when situations might escalate beyond de-escalation techniques. Her experience taught her to trust her instincts and prepare for various outcomes. The military had trained her to remain calm while formulating multiple response options simultaneously. She had practiced these scenarios countless times, both in formal training and through real-world experience. The difference now was that she was no longer operating within a structured military framework with backup and support. She was alone, responsible for her own safety and well-being. The confrontation began subtly, with Cole making casual comments about her appearance and work performance. His tone gradually became more aggressive and inappropriate, testing her boundaries. Other bikers joined in, creating a chorus of harassment designed to isolate and intimidate her. Emily attempted to redirect their attention to their orders and maintain professional distance. She employed techniques learned in de-escalation training, using calm tone and non-threatening body language. However, the group's behavior continued to escalate despite her efforts. Cole became more physically aggressive, moving closer to her workspace and making inappropriate touching gestures. His companions egged him on, creating a mob mentality that made intervention by other customers unlikely. The bar owner remained in the back office, either unaware of the situation or unwilling to address it directly. Other customers either avoided the situation entirely or watched passively, typical responses to incidents of harassment. Emily felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that had served her well in combat situations. Her training kicked in, preparing her body for potential conflict while her mind calculated risks and options. The moment when Cole grabbed her wrist marked the point where de-escalation became impossible. His touch violated personal space and crossed the line from verbal harassment to physical assault. Emily's military training took over, and she executed a precise technique to break free from his grip. The movement was smooth and controlled, demonstrating the effectiveness of her combat training. The room fell silent as witnesses realized the situation had changed dramatically. Cole stumbled backward, surprised by her ability to defend herself and the speed of her response. His companions stopped laughing, suddenly aware that their target was not as helpless as they had assumed. Emily stood straight, her military bearing returning as years of training and experience asserted themselves. The confrontation had shifted from victimization to potential conflict, with the balance of power now uncertain. Cole's initial shock gave way to anger as he realized his assumption of superiority had been incorrect. He approached her again, this time with more caution but clear intent to assert dominance. The other bikers moved closer, surrounding Emily and limiting her options for retreat. The situation had escalated beyond simple harassment to potential violence, requiring immediate decisive action. Emily assessed the group's positioning and identified the most dangerous threats. Her military training had taught her to prioritize targets based on immediate danger and available resources. She had limited space to maneuver, but maintained awareness of potential weapons or obstacles. The other customers watched in tense silence, unsure whether to intervene or continue observing. Some reached for phones, possibly calling for help or recording the incident. The bar owner emerged from his office, finally acknowledging the situation that had been developing. His arrival added another variable to Emily's assessment of the changing dynamics. Cole made his final mistake by attempting to grab Emily again, underestimating her capabilities. She responded with practiced efficiency, using leverage and timing to neutralize his threat. The movement revealed her marine tattoo clearly, the symbol of her service and sacrifice now visible to all. The room went completely silent as everyone processed the significance of what they were seeing. The tattoo told a story of courage, dedication, and sacrifice that no amount of intimidation could diminish. Cole stepped back, his bravado crumbling as he recognized the reality of confronting a trained warrior. His companions shifted uncomfortably, suddenly aware that their target was not a helpless victim, but a veteran who had faced real danger. The power dynamic in the room had completely reversed, with the harassers now feeling vulnerable. Other customers began to approach, offering support and expressing admiration for Emily's strength. Some offered to call law enforcement or provide witness statements if needed. The bar owner apologized for his absence and promised to implement better security measures. Emily maintained her composure throughout the aftermath, declining offers of special treatment while accepting expressions of respect. The incident became a turning point in how she was perceived by the community, transforming from invisible server to recognized hero. Regular customers began treating her with newfound respect and appreciation for her service. Some veterans approached her to discuss shared experiences and offer support. The local news picked up the story, highlighting issues of veteran recognition and workplace harassment. Emily became an advocate for other veterans struggling with similar challenges in civilian life. She began speaking at community events about the importance of recognizing service members' contributions. The incident led to policy changes in several local businesses regarding customer conduct and employee protection. Support groups formed to address the specific challenges faced by veterans transitioning to civilian employment. Emily's story inspired others to speak out against harassment and intimidation. She became a mentor to younger veterans navigating their own transitions to civilian life. The bar became a gathering place for veterans and supporters, fostering a sense of community and mutual respect. Emily continued working there, but now with the confidence that comes from knowing her worth and capabilities. Her military service had prepared her for this moment, teaching her that true strength comes from within and cannot be diminished by others' actions. The confrontation had been a test of everything she had learned and experienced, proving that her service had given her tools for success in any situation. Her quiet dignity had spoken louder than any words, inspiring others to recognize the strength that exists in those who serve. The story demonstrated that heroes come in many forms, often unrecognized until circumstances reveal their true nature. Emily's experience showed that the bonds of service transcend individual conflicts, connecting all who have answered their country's call. The incident had transformed not just Emily's life, but the entire community's understanding of respect and recognition. Her legacy became one of quiet strength and unwavering dignity in the face of adversity. The bar remained a symbol of that transformation, a place where veterans and civilians could gather with mutual respect. Emily's story continued to inspire others to stand up for themselves and recognize the heroes among us. Her journey from invisible server to recognized warrior demonstrated that true strength cannot be hidden or diminished. The incident proved that those who serve their country carry their strength with them, ready to emerge when needed most. Her experience reminded everyone that appearances can be deceiving, and that respect should be given freely to all. The story became a testament to the power of service, sacrifice, and the unbreakable spirit of those who wear their country's uniform. Emily's quiet dignity had changed a community's perspective, showing that true heroes often work among us unrecognized. Her story continued to inspire others to look beyond appearances and recognize the strength that exists in every person. The confrontation had been a catalyst for change, transforming not just individual lives, but entire communities. Her legacy lived on in the respect and recognition given to veterans and all who serve their communities. The incident had shown that true strength comes from within and cannot be taken away by external forces. Emily's story remained a powerful reminder that heroes exist in unexpected places, waiting for their moment to shine.